What is going on today, guys? And, oh, wait a minute. Yes? No, it isn't. No, they would never do that. What they are? Oh, dear. Oh, God, I better check into this. Well, they officially confirmed something recently that has been a rumor for literally years at this point. There have been people that have been speculating whether or not Mudrunner was going to end up on mobile devices for really ever since Mudrunner originally came out. And there were rumors even floating around just about at the release of Mudrunner itself years ago. So, first of all, why now? And also, it seems like it's at a very odd time. And will this at all take away from the development of SnowRunner? And those are all questions that we're going to be answering in this video. Now, the developers actually released a full statement about this, answering pretty much all of those questions, and they also showed some screenshots, which I will be detailing in this video. Now, first, let's go ahead and answer some of the questions that I know are going to be on y'all's mind. Now, when does this release? Well, it releases July 15th on Android and iOS devices. Now, will this detract from the development of SnowRunner? They say no. They say it's being developed by a completely different team than the team that is working on the continued support and continued live service for SnowRunner. So they've said that we really do not need to worry about that at all. Now, they go on to say interesting things like the whole Mudrunner fleet is back, implying that every single vehicle that was in the PC and Xbox One versions of Mudrunner will be in this mobile version of Mudrunner. Now, they've said here that Mudrunner on handheld devices will be familiar to old-time fans, but new thanks in part to a brand new GUI. With its advanced physics engine, players will recognize the realistic, immersive sandbox experience they know and love from its predecessors on PC and consoles. So, they've basically said that you can expect to have, apparently, almost the same experience of Mudrunner on mobile devices as you had in Mudrunner on PC and consoles. Now, to be fair, I mean, I'm sure that mods are not going to be part of that experience because it is a mobile version, and mobile game mods are a very odd, strange world, but judging by the screenshots, it actually looks like it could be fairly promising. For example, this shot here shows 3 of the more prominent vehicles in the game, and as you can tell, the sky is definitely a little bit less detailed, and the textures look a little bit different, and the ground looks a little bit different, but if this is a in-game screenshot to be believed, I think it looks perfectly fine for a mobile experience. I think it actually looks really good for a mobile experience. Now, I feel like it actually looks like the graphics are good enough to the point where I'm really hoping there's a graphics quality adjustment setting, because people with older phones may have trouble running this if if the graphics are set to that particular setting all the time. I think it's definitely going to be a little bit of a strain on older phones and older devices, but that's definitely going to be something that we'll have to wait and look at, and we'll have to wait and see about. But I know for a fact that I'm going to be trying it, and I'm really curious actually to see how they sort of handle that changeover, and also if it feels the same considering the fact that it's from a different dev team. Now, obviously, since it is a mobile application, I'm sure that there are some areas that are going to be slightly compromised. For example, I think the water and the lighting are definitely going to be areas that are going to be compromised. I mean, as this shot shows, especially water during the later hours of the day and at night when the lights are on, because you can see there's definitely a little bit of odd variation sort of between the ground and the water, and some of the water splashes look a little bit odd compared to how Mudrunner originally looked, but again, I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks perfectly acceptable in that mobile space. Now, in my head right now, I'm definitely kind of going back and forth as to how the controls are going to feel. When I play mobile games, I'm definitely more of a, I definitely prefer thumb steering as opposed to tilt steering, but I know that there are 2 very different camps on that. There are 2 very different schools of thought, and I would love to know from you guys in the comments down below are you somebody that uses your thumb to steer on a mobile game, or are you somebody that uses like tilt controls, like basically tilting your phone to steer on a mobile game? I think in a game like this where precision steering is important, I'm definitely going to be in that touch steering camp. And maybe not necessarily precision steering is important, but small adjustments are important, and I think touch really would apply a little bit better to that than tilt steering. But I don't know. I mean, my only problem with tilt steering is you tilt the device, and then you have to turn your head with it sometimes to, like, see what you're doing, and it just kind of, in my opinion, distorts the experience a little bit for me. But I'm sure that there are tons of different schools of thought out there, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments on what your thoughts are about tilt steering versus touch steering on a mobile driving game application. Now, fortunately, it seems like all of our old favorite vehicles are coming back. I mean, we could see the 6x6 on the left with the fuel tank. I mean, you got the skidder on the right with the trailer. It really does look like it's going to be almost the same environment and experience as Mudrunner was on, you know, on Xbox One and PC. Just like the graphics are obviously going to be a little bit dialed back. And, you know, I'm sure it's going to be very easy for people to jump on that train of like, oh, they're just releasing this to distract us from what they haven't done yet for SnowRunner. And I'm sure that there are going to be people that are going to jump on that train, but I don't necessarily believe that that's true, considering the fact that it's a completely different development team working on this mobile application of Mudrunner. So I'm kind of, like I said, I go back and forth on that, because I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to be like, oh, this is just a distraction, you know, to distract us from what they haven't released yet for SnowRunner. And some of the guys, like, you know, in the SnowRunner community that are like, you know, pushing really hard for these new features, they're ruthless, man. They're relentless. I mean, the game has been out now for like, what? Like 2 months? And, I mean, there are already people saying, well, you promised blah, 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 and we don't have that yet. And I'm like, dude, they promised it as part of the live service updates going forward. Like, they're not gonna drop the game and then immediately drop all of the, like, the entire live service schedule, like, the next week. You know, it's just not how a game with a live service works. So, and again, there's discussions to be had around live service and whether or not it's a good thing for a game, but that's a completely different topic for a completely different video, and I'm still holding out lots and lots of hope. I'm very hopeful that they are going to release everything and more that they said they would in SnowRunner over the course of that live service. So that's all I'm gonna say on that, because I know that there are people that are gonna have that opinion in the comments, and I just wanted to address that real quick. But now let's move on to our next item. Now, interestingly, a lot of the screenshots they showed seemed to be either at dawn or dusk, a lot of them with the headlights on, and looking at this one in particular, you can see that while the sky isn't quite as detailed as before, it does actually at least, like, seem to change in color, and the lighting is fairly decent in this shot, I think. It definitely reflects off of the truck really nicely and reflects onto the ground really nicely, and you can see some of the different textures on the ground. And the more I look at these screenshots, the more I go, yeah, you know, I mean, like, if I was just looking at these shots and didn't know what they were for or didn't know what they were about, I would honestly assume that it was just screenshots taken on PC, like on the PC version of Mudrunner with the graphics settings turned down, and I wouldn't have thought that it was a mobile device or like an Android or an iOS. That wouldn't have even crossed my mind, because, again, this is the last thing I expected them to do. The absolute last thing I expected them to do. And I keep going back and forth on that, because, like, whether or not this is a good move. And I think in the long run, it probably is a good move, because it gets the game and the franchise in the hands of more people, which therefore expands the community and grows the community that we have around this, you know, Mudrunner, SnowRunner series. So I think in the long run, it's definitely good for the community, but I would love to, again, hear the opinions from you guys on that, and I would really like for you to let me know where your thoughts are and where your feelings are about bringing this game to a wider audience via the mobile space. Because the mobile space, I know a lot of people have like so many different opinions on the mobile space. The mobile space is kind of a weird space, but I also think that it's smart for them as a developer to actually kind of get into it, because there's so many people in that mobile space, and there are a lot of people that only game on mobile. So gaming on mobile is definitely like, I wouldn't say it's like the quote-unquote way of the future, but I think it's definitely a market that as a developer they would be kind of silly to ignore it. So I would love to know your thoughts on this very interesting development to the series, and that is going to be it for this video. I will bring you guys more information as I get it. Remember, the release date is July 15th, and I will definitely be checking it out, playing it, and bringing you guys gameplay videos here on the channel. And who knows, it might join in as part of a stream as well. So hope you all enjoyed. See you guys next time.